Early in the morning. I started from my home at 6 in the morning. Yesterday, in the course of reading various books, I thought about Inchon International Airport. Many years ago, in 1980, about 23 years ago, I was sent to New York to the Wall Street to learn the base ABCs of the stock investment through the Wall Street. At that time, our country, our financial institution has no connection or branches in New York, in Wall Street. So we were sent to the Japanese, in my case, the Nomura Securities in New York. So about 43 years ago from now, and I retired early at the age of 45. So nobody ventured like that. But I started my second life my own way. I never thought about the future of my life. I will do my way, my style. I will stick to my own way of creating my own second life. Until now, I have suffered the ups and downs as everybody else. But especially to me, at the early years of 60 something, about 10 years ago, I was 100% got bankrupted. I lost all the 6 apartments and 1 small building. I suffered from deep depression. Also tried to commit to suicide 2 times. But at the final moment, I thought about when I went to Seoul with my mom about the 40-something years ago, with the empty hand. And I started my life with my mom with 200 rooms in a very poor-stricken area. Now I am living that area again. It's a paradox. I started from that place about the 40-something years, soul life there. Now I return. About 10 years ago, I returned to the same place, the same village, next to the, it's a kind of small mountain. Yesterday I thought about how the airport changes. About 43 years ago, at the time, I started from the Kimpo Airport, and I arrived at the Los Angeles and moved to the LA. So it was a first experience to go abroad. Also, at the time, it was very limited to go abroad because the dollar shortage of our government. So just the very excellent candidate of speaking good languages, because it was the initial stage of the financial industry to be internationalized or globalized. It was an initial step to nurture the capable employee for working financial institution. At the time, I was working for the Korea Investment Trust financial company, was specializing in stock investment. At the time, the stock investment was very unusual to the average people. So our company, Korea Investment Trust Company, did for them by operating investment trust or mutual fund called in the United States. So it was a great extension for me to upgrade my scope and level up the insight of how the international market was extensive and beyond the expectation. I couldn't understand the whole picture of the financial market at that time. So I determined in New York, walking around the New York the street, I got the feeling that it is a great chance to upgrade my language skill and to expand my career option by understanding the financial market, especially securities investment, understanding the mutual fund investment trust. So I came back. It was a very short period of training period because our country was poor at that time. And I came back to Seoul and 3 years later in 1983, I was again dispatched to London to study the London market. It was another chance to understand the Europe and understand the British or the European financial market. The London was the center. It was very famous for the financial matters, or the London and New York. It is the two centers globally to understand the financial market. It was the second time for me there. At the time, something special happened to me. On Sunday, I had no chance to breakfast at the boarding house. They didn't provide the lunch on Sunday. So I thought about if I went to the church, they will provide the steak and the bread. Because I think that the British church would be generous to the non-believers. So I paid a visit to a huge outside-looking churches. I still remember the number of believers at that time. Just 12 people gathered. It was a congregation of the huge church building. I asked them, I'm a Korean for study the London market. I thought that the Britain was a Christian country, and they answered me, no. The British people, they didn't go to church at that time. So I thought about it. Wow, it is not the Christian country. So I dropped in the course of. So I was entertained the lunch with them, and in the course of coming back to my boarding house, I dropped by the bookstore, and I found out the Christian book written by Pastor Cho Young-gi of the Yoido Gospel Church. So it was the first time to contact, to understand the Bible, the story. So I understood it. There is something new, a world to me at that time. It was the first encounter with God. I never forgot that meaningful encounter by the lunch experience with the British church in London. So until now, in my library now, I have over 5,000 books about Bible preaching written by the American pastors and written by Japanese pastors in Japanese language. So it became a great blessing for me. So every morning, or the first thing in the morning, at least 30 minutes, I invest my time to reading the Bible story. So even though I bring my breakfast box because I am so poor nowadays, but I'm sure that my future, the greater, is coming. I know, and I trust God. God's timing is quite different. So I became very positive, even though materially, but I'm very rich spiritually. So, yeah, every day the first thing I do design my everyday activity. So yesterday I decided to visit the Inchon International Airport Terminal 1 or 2. But this morning I choose Terminal 2 because Terminal 1 about 20 years ago, from there I start to go to New York or Tokyo or Narita. But at that time, the Terminal 2 was under construction. So this morning I came here to taste it, the colors of the second Terminal 2 of Inchon International Airport. It is a great opportunity to remember those old and good times. But I am always positive. Tomorrow and in the future, the greater is coming. I became very positive about the future. Beyond the current circumstances. That's the word's power, that's God's power to transform myself. Even though I went to the bankrupt about 10 years ago, I suffered from depression and mental difficulties during that time. But nowadays, I completely recovered from that difficult times to renew my life again, because I have so many wonderful books nowadays. The Japanese books or the English books, over 60,000 books. I call my reading as crazy reading, just one sentence from one book. But every day, every evening, at least 5 or 6 hours every day. That became my daily routine. Especially reading the Bible story every day every morning, every evening. I think that is the greatest blessing to transform my life and stick to and believe in God and trust Him under any circumstance. I firmly believe that He will give a second chance or third chance to restart my life in a positive way, even though about 10 years ago I lost all the physical properties, but nowadays I understand that the number of apartment or real estate or another kind of investment is nothing to the abundance of spiritual abundance. So I'd like to encourage you, all of my students or young men or ladies. Nowadays, so many average people suffer from the poverty-stricken idea. But we, as Christians, we always look at the bright side of everything. Behind the cloud, shining the sun, like this. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.